Okay, so in 1997, a guy walks up to Warren Buffett and buys a company from him. Not a stake in a company, not some shares, the whole thing. And the price? $1,000. That's it. That's the number. Here's the part that should actually stop you. That same company is now worth around $85 billion. And the guy who bought it for $1,000, he's personally worth over $1 billion today. So, no, this isn't a video telling you to go find some random company and buy it for pocket change and get rich. That's not the lesson here. The lesson is much weirder and honestly much more useful than that. Let me actually walk you through what happened. My name is Alex, and today on Wealth Adjacent, we're taking apart the deal that sounds fake but genuinely isn't. Quick disclaimer, not financial advice, just a real, documented story and what it can actually teach us about risk. So the guy's name is Jeffrey Sprecher, and in the 90s, he's got this idea, kind of an odd one, honestly. He wants to build a place where people can buy and sell electric power, like actually trade it, the way you'd trade stocks. But here's the thing, he doesn't have the infrastructure to do that. Building something like that from scratch would take years and a lot more money than he had. So instead, he goes looking for something that already has the bones of what he needs. Just broken, failing, nobody wants it. And that's where Warren Buffett comes in, kind of by accident. Buffett's company owned an energy trading platform that was basically dying, losing money, going nowhere. And Sprecher looks at it and thinks, this actually has exactly the infrastructure I need. I just need to rebuild what's inside it. So he makes an offer, $1,000. And here's the thing people miss. Buffett wasn't being generous. This wasn't a gift. The company was worth basically nothing to Berkshire at that point. Taking it off their hands was doing them a favor, honestly. So Sprecher takes this dying, practically worthless shell of a company and starts rebuilding it from the inside. Not electric power trading anymore. That idea shifted. He turns it into what eventually becomes Intercontinental Exchange, ICE. You've probably heard of it, actually, even if you didn't know the backstory. They own the New York Stock Exchange now. And over about 2 decades, that company goes from being worth basically nothing to being worth $85 billion. Sprecher's own stake in it? Somewhere north of $1 billion, personally. Okay, so here's the part that actually matters. The part that isn't just, a cool story to tell at a dinner party. It wasn't the price that made this work. $1,000 is $1,000. Anyone can pay that. What actually made it work was that Sprecher saw value that literally everyone else, including Warren Buffett's own team, had already written off completely. That's genuinely the whole mechanism. Distressed assets, things that are failing, or bankrupt, or just abandoned, sometimes get priced at whatever will get someone to take the liability off the seller's hands. Not what the asset could be worth, just what it takes to make the problem go away for the person selling it. And that gap between what something is currently worth to the person giving up on it and what it could be worth to someone with a completely different plan for it, that gap is where stories like this actually come from. Not luck, not magic. A very specific kind of vision, paired with a very specific kind of risk tolerance. Because here's what doesn't make it into the fun version of this story. Sprecher didn't know it would work. He spent years, genuinely difficult years, rebuilding something out of a company most people considered dead. There were points where it could have just stayed worthless. That risk was completely real. There's a pattern here worth naming honestly, because it shows up in smaller versions all the time, not just in billion-dollar deals. Distressed businesses, failing websites, abandoned patents, even old domain names sometimes trade for close to nothing, specifically because the current owner has already decided it's not worth their time anymore. The price reflects their exhaustion, not the asset's actual ceiling. But here's the honest catch, and I want to be straight with you about this. For every story like Sprecher's, there are a lot more failed attempts that never make it into a video like this one. Most distressed assets stay distressed. Most abandoned ideas stay abandoned. The stories that get told are by definition the ones that worked. So this isn't go buy something cheap and get rich. It's closer to pay attention to the gap between what something's worth to someone who's given up on it and what it might be worth to someone who hasn't. That gap is real, and it's out there constantly, in ways way smaller than $85 billion. Most people just don't think to look for it, because the sticker price alone makes something look worthless. So here's where we land. This isn't about chasing some fantasy of turning $1,000 into a fortune overnight. It's about understanding that price and value aren't always the same number, and sometimes the biggest gap between them shows up specifically in things everyone else has already decided to walk away from. The real lesson was never buy cheap stuff. It's that value is relative to who's looking at it and what they're actually capable of doing with it. Sprecher didn't buy a broken company. He bought infrastructure other people had stopped seeing as infrastructure at all. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, have you ever seen something everyone else had written off that you thought had real potential left in it? I'll see you in the next one.